Stories from Upanishads and Puranas, retold by Arghya Goswami. Dear friends and listeners, welcome to the part 2 of the story The King Who Lost Everything for Truth. We are continuing our journey from the last episode in which the birds of wisdom narrated to Rishi Jaimini the legend of the great king Harishchandra. Birds of wisdom told the sage about how Harishchandra, a celebrated solar dynasty or Suryavamshi king, had to give up his entire kingdom and all his material possessions and donate them to great sage Vishwamitra just to keep his word. Furthermore, when the sage demanded donations for performing a grand scale Rajasuya Yajna, the ousted king had nothing in position to donate. The wheel of time compelled Harishchandra to auction off his beloved wife and his son into slavery. Was the amount obtained by selling of his wife and son sufficient for performing a grand scale Rajasuya Yajna? Was the great sage satisfied after getting riches from Harishchandra? Let's find out. However, before we jump into that, let me tell you my thoughts about a very famous Hindi bhajan. रघुकुल की रीत सदा चली आए प्राण जाए पर वचन ना जाए. This song was written on Lord Ram. However, Raja Harishchandra, being the ancestor of Lord Ram, I completely believe that perhaps this song could be dedicated to all the rulers of Ishkwaku dynasty. As historical and mythological evidences depict, each of them had displayed some instances where they had to perform some impossible and extreme sacrifices just to uphold their dharma and their word. Now let's begin the last part of the legend of Raja Harishchandra. The birds of wisdom continued their tale and narrated to Rishi Jaimini. They said, after looking into the pouches filled with wealth, Sage Vishwamitra seemed to be very angry. He angrily asked, you had been a celebrated king in the past and performed a grand scale Rajasuya Yajna. Do you think this much dakshina is enough for performing such a yajna? According to him, it wasn't enough. The sage demanded rest of the payment, his eyes cold and unforgiving. Harishchandra pleaded for some more time. Vishwamitra left, saying only 1/4 of the day remains for him to pay off the promised dakshina. There was only one thing left for Harishchandra to sell himself into slavery. He declared again, is there anyone who wishes to buy me as a servant in return of the desired amount? Harishchandra's woes were far from over. Lord Dharma, wanting to test Harishchandra along with Vishwamitra, took the form of Chandal, or one who cremates corpses and dead bodies. He was malformed, smelled obnoxious, looked horrifying and disgusting. He was dark and had a large belly protruding outside. He had coppery red eyes and a harsh voice. He clutched a human skull in one hand and a large staff in the other. He was surrounded by dogs. The Chandal approached Harishchandra and said in a very harsh voice, I want to buy you. Quote your price. Harishchandra looked at the man and asked, who are you? The horrible looking man said, I am a Chandal and my name is Pravira. Harishchandra said, I do not wish to be a servant of a Chandal. Instead, I would like to be consumed by the fire of sage's curse. As Harishchandra was hesitant to sell off himself to Chandal, Vishwamitra arrived at the spot. He angrily shouted at Harishchandra, "The Chandal has come here to give you the desired wealth. Why should you not give me my dakshina for sacrifice?" Harishchandra replied, "O great sage, you know that I am a descendant of the great solar dynasty. How can I be a servant of a Chandal?" Angrily, Vishwamitra said, "If you do not give me my dakshina after getting wealth from selling yourself to Chandal, I will surely curse you." Harishchandra fell at sage's feet. "Have some mercy, my lord. Have some mercy. Show some favors. I am your servant. I am terrified. Devoted to you. O great sage, I am your servant." Sage cunningly said, "Oh, you are my servant. Then I hand you over to the Chandal. He will give me the riches I deserve for Ashwa Yagya." Harishchandra, with heavy heart, agreed to the proposal. He, with folded hands, said to Chandal, "Accept me today as your servant and give the riches to the sage." For the man of Harishchandra's status, being sold to a Chandal was the ultimate humiliation. But to keep his vow, he did it. He sold himself into slavery. He saw that the Chandal stripped the garments from the dead bodies in the crematorium. After some time had passed, the Chandal commanded Harishchandra to strip the garments from the dead bodies. He commanded him to remain in the cremation ground day and night and collect fees and whatever relatives of the deceased gives. He also told him that 1/6 of whatever he gets from the deceased needs to be given to the king. Half will be Chandal's share and 1/3 will be his salary. Friends, just diverting a bit from the story, in the cremation grounds, after the dead body is put into the holy pyre, the relatives still give some money to the cremation worker in the name of Harishchandra. The belief is that the share from these offerings goes to Harishchandra to pay off his debt. Also, friends, in Varanasi, we still have that cremation ground where Raja Harishchandra cremated the dead bodies. That ghat is named as Harishchandra Ghat. Coming back to the story again, the cremation ground where he stayed looked terrible. Surrounded by howling dogs and jackals, dead bodies lying everywhere, waiting for their turn to be cremated. A terrible stench from the rotting bodies, thick smoke from the burning pyres made the place haunted. It was infested with pishachas, ghosts, betals, dakinis, and yakshinis. The place was terrible and was infested with hundreds of vultures. Sometimes the place was crowded with crying and lamenting relatives of the dead, and sometimes nothing but sound of burning pyres was only heard. The flesh, fat, and marrow burned, cracking of bones and skulls in extreme heat. That sound filled in all directions. Their half burnt corpses, the dead bodies within the fire, seemed to smile as they displayed their rows of teeth protruding outside from the burned skull. They seemed to say, "This is the state that bodies are reduced to." In this state, he repeatedly thought, how had he reduced to a Chandal? He wore a small dhoti stitched from tattered rags. His face, hands, legs, stomach, and feet were smeared in ashes from the funeral pyres. Fat, oil, and marrow smeared his fingers. He ate whatever food was offered to the corpses. His head was ornamented with garlands that he gathered from the corpses. He could not sleep. Every day his eyes saw sorrow. Every night he swept ashes that once were dreams. But never once did he abandon Satya. In this way, 12 long years passed, inflicting unending agony and pain. One day, broken, exhausted Harishchandra fell asleep in the cremation ground. Soon he was drawn into a ghastly dream. He dreamt that he had paid off his dakshina to his guru in a different body. After living for 12 long years in misery, eventually he was freed and born in the womb of a Pulkasi. Friends, just for reference, the term Pulkasi here means a woman who is the wife of a Pulkasa, who is a son of a Nishad father and Shudra mother. Now, coming back to the story, while still inside the womb of his mother, Harishchandra thought when he came out of the womb he would follow dharma of donating. Once he was born as Pulkasa child, he grew up learning the rites and methods to cremate the dead. When he was 7 years old, he saw corpse of a Brahmin who seemed to be very poor. Relatives had brought the dead body for cremation. After the cremation rites were performed, Harishchandra demanded the fees. However, due to poverty, they were unable to pay him. Then they cautioned him. They said that Harishchandra's current state was due to Vishwamitra. In a previous life, he was a Suryavamshi king named Raja Harishchandra, and now in this birth he is reduced to a Pulkasa. Listening to this story, Harishchandra still demanded the fees from the poor Brahmins. This made them very angry, and they cursed him to go to hell instantly. As the curse fell over him, he was instantly dragged over by Yama's messengers into hell. He started to scream, cry for his parents. When he reached the terrible hell, he was given all the inhuman tortures and pains. He was burnt, beaten, cut, hanged everywhere. Each day in the hell felt like hundreds of years. He was transformed into various animal forms. Each day he would see himself being born into a different species and dying next day. In this miserable state, full 100 years passed by. Then one day he was born as a king of a great lineage. However, he lost his kingdom while gambling. He lost his wife and his son and went to the forest. There he was attacked and devoured by a mythical creature named Sharabha. While he was on the verge of being eaten by the beast, he cried out for Shabya. However, he saw his wife and son screaming and crying for help. Shabya cried, "Oh Harishchandra, save us! Why do you gamble? We are reduced to the state of misery." Disturbed Harishchandra tried to get hold of them, but he couldn't see or touch them. He went through this turmoil for next 12 years. The messengers of Yama said to him, "Vishwamitra's thirst cannot be quenched. He will bring death upon your son. Go back to your world and claim your miseries. When 12 years are over, your miseries will end." As soon as he heard this from the messengers of Yama, he fell from Yama's world back to the earth. Harishchandra woke up from his slumber, terrified, breathing heavily. He felt that his misery and agony would never ever end. Meanwhile, Shabya and Rohitashva was being treated inhumanly by the wealthy Brahmin. She was scrubbing floors, washing clothes, filling water, cleaning utensils, brooming and sweeping the floors, while young Rohitashva was forced to labor in the fields. Then, one day, test of destiny was paramount. A tragedy struck. While young Rohitashva was out gathering flowers for his master's rituals, he was bitten by a venomous snake. He died almost instantly. Shaiba was completely alone. Her world collapsed in on itself with no one to help her and not a single penny to her name. She carried the lifeless body of her only child through the streets of Kashi. She made her way to the only place a person with nothing could go for the last rites, the cremation ground. It was dark, stormy night. She arrived at the ghat, her clothes torn, her face a mess of tears, her heart shattered. She didn't recognize the skeletal, grim-faced man who guarded the entrance, his face hardened by suffering, and he, seeing only another grieving woman in the flickering firelight, did not recognize his wife. Harishchandra, unable to reveal emotion, bound by duty, asked the same question he had asked all. Do you have the fee, Devi? Shaiba wept, telling him she had nothing. He refused to budge. Bound by his duty to his master, he could not and would not allow cremation without payment. Shaiba told Chandal that her son died of a snake bite and pleaded to have some mercy. She repeatedly wailed and cried. Harishchandra the Chandal saw the lady. She was very lean, weak, and seemed to be in a terrible state. He heard her lamenting. O king, where are you? Your only son is lying dead. Earlier you saw him playing. Today he is dead. Still, Harishchandra could not recognize Shaiba. Perhaps years of misery and torturous life had made him reborn as a cold, heartless Chandal. Lamenting, Shaiba too didn't recognize her husband. As Harishchandra saw Rohitashva's dead body lying on the ground, he felt something royal in that child. His body seemed to be from royal lineage. He soon started remembering his son Rohitashva. He cried and said, Your dead son reminded me of my lotus-eyed child Rohitashva. My son would be also of same age as your son, O Devi. As soon as he uttered these words, Shaiba broke down wailing and crying. She revealed her identity and finally they recognized each other. She embraced her husband's neck and her voice suffered from grief. She lamented, Oh my king, is this real or is this a dream? My mind is confused. Then Harishchandra told her how he had been reduced to the state of being a Chandal. They both wept and cried, embracing each other. When Shaiba told her husband that the dead child was none other than his son Rohitashva, he broke down, howling and crying. Tears streamed silently into the fire, into the wind. The king and queen reunited not in a palace but in a place of death, standing over the cold body of their son. The weight of their shared tragedy was simply too much for the words, and yet, even in this moment of unimaginable pain, Harishchandra did not break his duty. His promise to his master was just as absolute as his promise to the sage. He told his weeping wife that he could not cremate their son's body without a fee. Rubbing off her tears, determined Shaiba tore a strip from a tattered sari and offered it with trembling hands. Harishchandra accepted it but did not speak a word. As Harishchandra, the king who once commanded armies, reached out to take a scrap of his wife's clothing as payment to burn his own son's body, the test finally reached its horrifying, unbearable climax. Lamenting, Harishchandra said, We are miserable and hanker after our beloved son. Let us beg Yama for him. Let us go to the place where our son has gone. Then suddenly he thought and cried out, Behold my misfortune! I am not even my own master. If I enter fire without taking permission from the Chandal, in the next birth I will again become the servant of another Chandal or be put into a terrible Vaitarani which is filled with blood, pus, worms, fat, sinews and entrails, or I will reach Asipatra Vana and will severely be tortured, or I will reach Maharorava or Rorava and be burned alive. But I am drowned in the ocean of grief, and only way is to give up my life. This child is the only one who would extend my lineage. Then how can I give up my life? I am in someone's control. The grief of a dead son is far more than being in different hells. So I'll jump into the fire in which my son will be cremated. Shaiba, please go back to the Brahmin's house. If I have donated, if I have offered oblations, if I have satisfied my preceptor in the world, and thereafter I will be united with you and my son. Friends, just for information, river Vaitarani flows in the nether regions and must be crossed before entering Yama's world. Asipatra Vana is a form of a hell where there is a forest which is Vana, which is full of trees and whose leaves, that is Patra, are as sharp as blades of a sword or Asi. Maharorava or Raurava are two other hells. There are usually 28 hells mentioned in the scriptures. Maharorava and Raurava are the hells where one suffers at the hands of fierce animals known as Rurus. Now coming back to the story, after listening to Harishchandra's decision, Shaiba said, "Oh my husband, this burden of grief is impossible to bear. Today, along with you, I will also end my life by jumping into the fire. Whether it is heaven or hell, we will enjoy it together." Hearing this from his wife, Harishchandra agreed. Then Harishchandra made a funeral pyre and placed his dead son on it. Then he and Shaiba ascended it. The husband and wife joined their hands in salutations and thought of Lord Narayana, the Supreme Paramatman. They thought about Vasudeva, Lord Brahma, and other gods. At that very second, the sky exploded with light. Gods couldn't watch anymore. Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, the god of justice, dharma, Sadhyas, Marut, or the guardians of the worlds, the Charanas, or the divine singers and the bards, the Nagas, the Siddhas and the Gandharvas, Rudras, Indra, the Ashwins, all appeared in blaze of divine glory, and next to them stood Sage Vishwamitra, his harsh expression finally softening. They revealed everything, this whole horrifying nightmare from losing his kingdom to the death of his son had been one long, elaborate, divine test to see how deep is his integrity ran. Harishchandra had been tested by the gods themselves, and he had passed in a way no mortal ever had. His commitment to truth has survived the worst suffering imaginable. Amrita or nectar and flowers was showered from the sky. Sounds of holy drums and trumpets filled up everywhere. With divine touch, the gods brought Rohitashva back to life, and laughing, vibrant child was once again in his parents' arms. Indra, the king of gods, said, "I am Indra, and come before you. You with your wife and son have won the eternal worlds. With your wife and son you will attain the supreme destination only meant for the virtuous. O illustrious one, ascend, as this is the fruit of your deeds." Harishchandra, with folded hands, replied, "O king of gods, without the permission of my master the Chandal, I am not free. I cannot go anywhere." Lord Dharma revealed that his cruel master, the Chandal, was Yama, the god of death. And again, Indra asked Harishchandra to ascend to heaven with his family. Then Harishchandra said, "O king, how can I leave my citizens in Koshala who are submerged in grief and misery without me? If I abandon my citizen who loves me, worship me, then how can I attain happiness in this world or the next? Therefore, O King of gods, I can only go to heaven if my citizens can go there with me, or I will go to hell with them." At this, Indra said, There are many kinds of good deeds and sins committed by your citizens. They are all varied. Then how can you go to heaven with this condition? Harishchandra said, a king enjoys his kingdom because of the powers of his citizen and subjects. I have been able to make great sacrifices and undertake civic works due to the powers I obtain from my subjects. I do not desire heaven if I have to give up those who have done me favors. Whatever merits and good deeds I have earned all these years, let me share the fruits with those with my subjects, even if for one day. Hearing this, Indra agreed. Then they all went to Ayodhya along with Indra, Dharma, Vishwamitra. Indra declared, O people of Ayodhya, crores of Vimanas have come down to earth to take you all to heaven. Ascend these and rise. Hearing these words, Raja Harishchandra asked Sage Vishwamitra to coronate Rohitashva as the king of Ayodhya. After the coronation, Harishchandra, along with Shaiba, the gods, the sages, siddhas, servants, wives of these people, all ascended to heaven. Raja Harishchandra was delighted. He obtained unmatched riches and the Vimanas. He lived in a city surrounded by walls and ramparts. Beholding his prosperity, Shukracharya, guru of the Daityas, chanted the sloka. He recited, there has never been a king like Harishchandra, nor there will be. If a man listens to it devotedly, he does not suffer. Saying this, the birds of wisdom stopped their narration of the story of Raja Harishchandra. Rishi Jaimini was awestruck listening to the legend of this great king. The birds continued, O excellent sage, after this, hear the account of a great battle between an Ati and Baka. Rishi Jaimini was engrossed further. So friends, that was legend of Raja Harishchandra, which is described in very detail in Markandeya Purana. Legend of Harishchandra makes you think, doesn't it? It challenges us to ask what our principles are truly worth. So the tale is much more than just a sad tale. It's a powerful lesson on the supreme importance of truth. His life shows that being righteous isn't always easy and convenient. Sometimes it demands profound sacrifices. He teaches us that as a person's true character isn't shown when things are comfortable, but when you are facing absolute disaster. His legend have been told for centuries, a timeless story used as a yardstick to measure honesty and moral courage. It's a reminder that while things are like wealth and power come and go, a commitment to your word and courage to your duty, no matter how devastating the cost, is what truly makes the person immortal. We would like to hear from you in the comments. What do you think is the most important promise a person can keep? Just comment or write to me at arghyathinks@gmail.com. In the next episode, as the birds of wisdom said to Rishi Jaimini that they would narrate an account of a great battle between an Ati and a Baka. So I will create an episode on that account. Ati and Baka are birds. Ati is also known as Sharati, or the zoological name is Turdus gingineus or Bank Maina, and Baka is the Indian crane. Please consider subscribing to my channel and shower your love by hitting that like button. Also press that bell icon for upcoming content. I'll be back with more tales from our Upanishads and Puranas. And until then,
Shanti Shanti.